life. It's so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, you don't have either of the other two.
Leadership, they flow out you.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis. I'm sitting here with my guy, Cameron Macias.
What's up, Coach Cam?
And we would like to welcome you back to the L3 Perspective. This is a platform where we talk about life, we talk about love, we talk about leadership. Cam, I'm excited about today's just conversation. You know, the L3 Perspective, baby. To all of our viewers, appreciate you guys tuning in, listening in, wherever you are in the world. And only thing we want to do today is provide some value to you. Cam, what you got, brother?
So per the usual, you guys like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. At the end of the day, we do this podcast for you guys. We do it to provide value. And so your feedback is integral to ensure that we are staying on course for what you guys want to hear about and what is speaking to you. So as we move forward, today's episode, we want to talk about the different levels of success and how success really kind of evolves throughout your life. On the last episode, you know, we said everybody has their own definition of success. And we thought that would be a really good topic to kind of go down the rabbit hole with, because it's not talked about enough as far as like the different levels of it, the evolution of it, the different aspects of it. And honestly, just not everybody has the same definition in retrospect. Mm-hmm. And so even from me to Glenn, from us to all of our guests, everyone has their different levels of what they call success, even on a daily basis, not even just on a life basis. Mm-hmm. You know, what do you walk away from saying, oh, today was a good day versus a bad day? Like, many people haven't even asked themselves that question. Like, what constitutes whether you walk away from a good day or a bad day?
Yes. Hey, we're about to dive into it deep today, man. But before that, man, how are you? How's the family doing?
I'm good. I woke up blessed. No.
I love it, man.
No, it's good, man. I'm gonna get the rest of my tattoo today. So I'm excited about that. Closing on my house either today or tomorrow. Very excited about that. You know, as you know, that's where not only, you know, it's a property for us to get a little quiet time because it's up in the mountains up in California, but it's also where we're going to be having the wedding at. So we're even more excited about that because that's money that I get to put back in my pocket. So other than that, though, it's Thursday, you know, Friday Eve, as some like to say.
For sure.
So I'm excited, man.
Good.
And I'm here with you.
Yeah.
My bestie.
For sure, man. Congrats again on the closing and the upcoming wedding and all that, man. Excited to be present and be there to kind of witness that, man.
Yes, sir. What's up with you?
Chilling, man. I woke up this morning and reminded myself how blessed I am. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that is it. I'm having a day, a morning of just kind of sitting within gratitude. So.
All right. I mean, you always sitting in gratitude. I feel like
I try.
You guys should hear Glenn eat. When he eats, he the whole time. He's like, bite. He's like, and takes a bite. He's like,
man, let's talk about this success thing, man. Love it.
So, nope. I go.
All right, go ahead. You got
all right. So for you, what did success used to look like for you?
What did it used to look like?
Used to. Yep. Like at a young, end of high school, what was success?
So for me, it was blurry. Mm-hmm. It was blurry. I didn't have a clear definition of success. I just thought that success was just like, you know, you just work hard.
Yeah.
Because at that time, so many people don't know this real quick. So you mentioned high school.
Mm-hmm.
I never got to walk the stage of high school. Almost didn't graduate high school.
Same.
And so kind of talking about success, a part of that was just getting my diploma. So I had to go to summer school in order to get my diploma. And then right after that, I, went to basic training. And so for me, that was kind of helping me shape like, okay, cool. What does success look like for you? For me,
Yeah.
it was kind of giving the best of my ability, outworking everyone, outshining my boots, making sure I had a crisp uniform. It was just kind of that external image.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was all external for me during that time.
Okay.
How about you? How about you? Back at that
Um.
time, I know you were just in high school yesterday. Um,
Oh, we
what
think
is
we're funny. Um. Honestly, same thing. I mean, a lot of people know this because I talk about it openly, but I was told like the last, the second or third semester, whatever it is of high school. They brought me and my mom in, and they said, "Hey, your son's not going to graduate." And I was one of the only people in my entire, and I'm in California, so it's not like this is a school of 20 people. This is
Yeah,
400 plus kids, and I was one of the only people who was not going to graduate. Funny enough, though, my attendance was fine. It's not that I wasn't going to class.
yeah,
Um, and it was crazy because even my teacher said like he participates too. Like he's actually like not, and he's not a bad student in the class. It's just I was that kid that did homework and then like didn't turn it in. Like I don't know why. Don't ask me why.
yeah,
But I was that kid that would like, or at least like I would partially do it. Um, and depending on the subject, I could get by. But yeah, so I had to like go around and hustle my way to graduate high school. I went to
mm,
all my teachers and I said, "Hey, give me a chance." And what was funny is I was already signed up for the Air Force.
yeah. Same.
And so they were like, "Hey, you can't." My mom's like, "You're gonna have to tell the recruiter that you can't retire or that you can't join the Air Force because you're not gonna graduate high school."
Mhm.
And it was funny because I still didn't even really care about that. All I cared about was when they said you can't go to prom or senior trip, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta go to prom. I gotta go to senior trip."
Yeah,
I'm a people person, so that
yeah.
was my thing. And so when I left for the military, I still don't really know what success was. I came back to California and was hanging out with a lot of my high school friends.
Hmm.
And so, success at that age was like, I got a whole bunch of money. I got a Dodge. I think I got a Dodge Charger on 20s, like, or when I was in my drifting stage, it was like I got this drift car with like, like I was in Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
It evolved, man. And so, then it was all just like money, 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 at a young age was just like, oh, like I just want to have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say I did also want someone to share the money with. So my parents always tell me like they always knew I would get married at a young age because I like you could always tell I was kind of looking for, someone to be with.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, as I got older, those things evolved obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I want money and food.
No, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, I would think that the where success started to become clear to me was
Hmm.
when I had my oldest son, Omari.
Yeah.
So, I was 21 at that time,
Hmm.
stationed over in Europe, or actually, I was stationed over in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
But at that moment, it became clear to me that it was more of like being that example
Hmm.
because growing up without a father or without my father being kind of present in my life, kind of day to day, like I knew what I didn't want to be, right? In that
Yeah.
aspect. And so I think that's where the wheels really started turning because I had to shift my mindset. Like, you can't just be out here, fighting. You can't just be out here,
Yeah.
just kind of like the opposite side of what the good was, like as far as being that example. So that was kind of the start. So at the age of 21 is where I really started to think about, okay, what is it that I want to accomplish in life? Where do I see myself? But again, all of it at that time was still external. It was,
Yeah.
hey, I want to have a lot of money. I want to be able to provide for my son. I want to be, uh,
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. So that's where the start of the foundation, I think, for me began because I had a reason for that was
Hmm.
something that was bigger than myself. So
Yeah. Man, 21.
Yeah, man.
So it's like, hey, you get your first drink and your first baby.
Yeah. Happy birthday. No.
happy happy birthday, young blood.
Yeah.
uh yeah, so I had an Ivy when I was 24.
Hmm.
And I would say at that point I had somewhat nailed down, I think, what, like, I was starting to get, I would say, mature enough to understand like my actions and how they could like be
Yeah.
such a detriment. I mean, it sounds weird because you're like, damn, you made it all the way to 24 and doing that. Well, like, you know, I was always in a situation, um, especially at the beginning of my military career, where success looked like just not getting kicked out.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, as long as I get to stay, like, I won. I
Right.
won the game of life,
Yeah.
because I came back home and I got in trouble. I went to Korea, got in trouble, and um, then I went to Arkansas, and that was where, like, I remember, people told me, said, hey, you have a opportunity to go there and really kind of create a new, like a newer version of yourself if
Hmm.
you take advantage of that opportunity. And I did, and so that was the first time, I think, in my career when the walls weren't about to fall off or fall down, and I could truly start making decisions to be like the better, successful version of myself that I saw in the future. So like that's when, I realized that, hey, my job is cool and all, but I am built for a higher purpose. So how do I get to that higher purpose? Okay, well, I need to call somebody. I need to speak to them
Yeah.
about it. And, then that's how I became a recruiter. Um, and so, yeah, so that was like kind of the initial evolution, as far as from like you talked about being blurry to maybe being a little bit more clear.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't think people think about the evolution of success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, obviously it requires, and I talk about this a lot as far as like the self-reflection.
Yeah.
It requires you to be still to kind of think about, okay, where was I at? Where am I currently at in present day? And then, where do I see myself in the future?
Yeah.
What does success look like for me
Mm-hmm.
there? And so, and I think that as you're striving for success,
Yeah.
you have to be aware of that you may be a different person in each phase of that in that journey.
Definitely.
You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, and because who you were 5 years ago in that chapter and who you are today may be complete. It should be completely different, right? In
yeah,
the sense of growth.
for
And
sure.
so, because I've seen many pictures of here you have success at the top of the ladder, and right,
Yeah.
and ladders there's obviously steps that you got to climb up, right? And so at each time that you're climbing up to that ladder, you should become stronger. You should become a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more
Yeah.
working. It's just kind of like each step is a signal of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have to do a better job of painting that picture for themselves and being very, very clear and defining what that success is and seeing how, okay, how do I evolve within this particular chapter
Yeah.
in achieving success?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Like, and that's what we talked about this before too, is one of the parts of success is when you're starting to reach your level of success,
Yeah.
is, in my opinion, there's levels of clarity, like you're talking about, as you go, right?
Yeah.
Because you become different, because you've evolved your mindset, or you become clear on what's a good thing, what's not a good thing for
Right.
you reaching that level of success that you want. One of the things is that you will more than likely lose people who have been with you for a certain season, as we talk about, for your life, right?
Yeah.
I talked about the whole Tyler Perry, where he discussed a rocket as your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah. Yep.
and
Yeah.
as you get to a certain altitude, one set of boosters falls off.
You're
You
right.
get to the next set, another, and
Hmm.
those boosters are the friends that are just not built to be at that level that you're at. Honestly,
Yeah.
even family members.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
was
yeah.
I was watching an interview of Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey.
Hmm.
the other day,
Yeah.
and Oprah had asked Michelle, "Hey, when you got into the White House, did the friends that you had, did they fall off? What happened? Did they stick around? Did they
Yeah.
whatever?" So Michelle ended up talking about how she has, uh, she calls it the table,
Yeah.
but essentially she was just like, yeah, every friend wasn't fit for the White House. So
Correct.
slowly I had to kind of distance myself from them. It wasn't just kind of overnight, but it was just like there were certain requirements or certain things that didn't fit that who we were, right?
Yeah.
Who we represented. And
Mhm.
so, and she was just like, some people, unfortunately, they felt some type of way, but at the end of the day, it's not anything personal, right? But you can't stay you can't stay at a certain elevation for too long, right?
Yeah.
Only stay there for the remainder of your life. And I was like, yo, I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that wholeheartedly,
Mhm.
and again, thankfully, I still have a couple of my or two of my childhood friends where we still rock together because through life, right from the beginning of when you were asking me about what does success look like for me, and as and in high school, same thing. We've constantly elevated throughout the years in life. Now we're 40 years old. Well, I'm 41, but anyway, we're 40
Yeah.
years old, and we are constantly pushing each other to elevate, right? Because we want to see each other win. We want to see each other reach our definition of success, right? And I believe that the unfortunate thing in life. So obviously, we're talking about a big life topic. Too many people have that victim mentality, right? Where victims make excuses,
Yeah.
right? And so in achieving success, right? I'm looking at it from a leadership lens. Leaders deliver results,
Mhm.
right? And so as you're climbing up that ladder that we're talking about,
Yeah.
each ladder, each step is a result, right? And
Mhm.
so just kind of stand within that, man. And I want tell me what you think about that. Victims make excuses, leaders deliver results.
Um, I agree as far as like I do think victims make excuses a lot. Uh and so with the whole leaders, what do you say leaders give results?
Deliver results.
Deliver results. So my thing with that is, and this is something I talk about a lot, like especially like on the base and things like that, is
Mhm.
that um I don't think it's always that necessarily leaders give results, but I think it's leaders either give results or are honest about what the results are going to look like.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because who's deciding what the results are? So
Right.
for
It's almost
instance,
like your definition of success.
yeah, and so so one of the things you and I have especially talked about when it comes to like being a manager, leader, things of that, the
Right.
difference in how you are above people is like the expectation of what they're going to do.
Mhm.
So, for instance, being real with it, if someone doesn't want to be a stellar performer,
Mhm.
you as a leader, the result is that hey, I'm just going to let them be an average performer because that's what they're happy with.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what, say the leadership above you is like, well, we want this person to perform better.
Mhm.
So at that point you have a decision. Like as the leader manager, do you say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to turn this person into a stellar person?"
Right.
Or at this point do you tell leadership, "Hey, the honest truth of the situation is this person just that's just not how they're built."
Mhm.
And it's not like
Eh,
they're unhappy to be here or they
mm,
don't want to do and they're not doing a good job for the role that they're in. They're just not going to go above and beyond. And realistically in society, I think there's a lot of pressure to like always do more than what you're supposed to. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the reason why we pay for certain work? Because that's the only work we expect to be done. Like, if you
Mhm.
want more work done, then give me more pay, or
Yeah.
responsibility, or
Right.
opportunity, or what have you, right? Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Nah. I see where you're going with it, and I'm going to circle back when we close this episode with the victims make excuses, leaders deliver result, specifically in the context of what we're talking about as far as what does success look like.
yeah,
And so I'm gonna definitely circle back with that as I in my closing statement.
mm-hmm,
Um, because it's important for everything that you just said is extremely important from a leadership perspective.
Yeah.
And just kind of talking about success
Hmm.
is equally important to, obviously your vision of success is different. And so as leaders, when you talk about again the results, who measures results? You
Yeah.
measure the results, right? So as that leader delivering the results, um, it's an important piece of what success is defined
Yeah.
to you. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, man,
So now that I said that, how do you feel like? So what do you like think about what I just said?
I like it because it's a whole different conversation.
I
Because
mean, it
like
is.
we talk about going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um, I think you can unpack that in so many different ways. Because yes, as a
Hmm.
leader, um, you can only control. Well, as an individual, you can only control what you can control. What you can
Yeah.
control is how someone responds to, you know, expectations, how they respond to their day-to-day effort that they're putting in. You can't control that.
Yeah.
But again, as an individual, if you know, and I used to say this to some of my younger um, non-commissioned officer leaders at the time, because they would have younger airmen and they'd be like, I'm struggling, I'm trying to communicate this, and they just don't get it or
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, and even
Why?
I've
Why?
had that.
Why?
Yeah, and I've had those thoughts as well, but I think the difference goes back to perspective,
Yeah.
right? I would tell them, hey, if you could go home and look in the mirror every night and know that you gave everything that you can give as far as leading your people, you've won.
Facts.
You can control the effort, you can't control them,
Yeah.
right? And so they may not be in a season where it makes sense to them, where things
Hmm.
click. But 5, 10 years later, it may be 15, it may be never. But at
Yeah.
some point, most of the people that you led may look back and be like, I get it now. I remember
Hmm.
why Sergeant such and such said this, or they tried to do this, or they poured out to me in this aspect. And so,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I think about everything that you said in that regards.
For sure. No. Yeah. I mean, you have to. There's an accountability piece that comes with it
For
too, right?
sure. For
Because
sure.
I hear this state, and you have to know yourself. Like you hear those statements like, what is it? Shoot for the stars, and even if you don't make it, you'll at least make it to the moon,
Hmm.
or something like that.
Yeah.
The problem with that can be, if what if your personality is not built like that?
Yeah.
What if your personality is built for the small wins? The, hey, I just want to get to the top of this mountain peak,
Hmm.
and then I'll talk about getting to the next mountain peak, and then I'll talk about maybe I'll like get on a balloon, and then maybe I'll talk about getting on a spaceship. Like,
Yeah.
some people are built for those little wins. They're not built for the like 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Some people built for that 2-week plan.
Yeah, for sure. Some people are only built for the day plan.
The
But
day
yeah, I
plan.
feel you. Yeah.
And so, we hear all these cliche um kind of statements, and I think, once again, like we always talk about, it's really important for that personal accountability of, like, know thyself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
because if you don't, you're not gonna know what's up.
Yeah.
Like I think I told you, is I know that if I get behind on certain things, it makes me unproductive for everything else.
Yeah.
Like, and or I know that if I can't get something done in a certain day, not to beat myself up,
Hmm.
because I also know that I have a lot of things on my plate.
Yeah.
And because of those things on my plate, kids, wife, job,
Hmm.
podcasts, businesses, like,
Hmm.
there's gonna be something that pops up for one of those. You ain't never gonna have a day where nothing just pops up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting text messages right now, and I'm like, all right, I got
Right.
something that's popped up now after,
Yeah. Same.
and so that's why I was like, yo, I can't beat myself up, because you can get into a dark place, and I've done that before, where
Hmm.
I've just beat myself up because I didn't do everything, and I had to take a hard step back and be like, maybe I need to start giving myself grace, because otherwise I'm just gonna be in this dark place for a long time.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll be reminded that you got to give yourself grace. Kind of case in point, the other 2 days ago, like yesterday or 2 days ago, I felt like I was just all over the place. And like
Yeah.
as I was trying to accomplish something, it was just
Hmm.
like email was coming in, text messages were coming in, bloop, bloop, and I was just like, kind of going all over the place. And I really had to take a step back. And like I said, you mentioned, or I mentioned in the beginning, like, man, I woke up this morning and I felt blessed, or I feel blessed because of what it was me taking that pause to be like, yo, gee, you got to give yourself grace, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you think about the amount of things that's on your plate and the amount of projects you have your hands involved in and the amount of things that are going within your 24 hours, the clock is still going, but at times you may need to give yourself a little bit of grace, man. And I kid you not, man, today I feel a lot more mentally clear just
Mm-hmm.
for that reason. So yeah, sometimes if you don't intentionally give yourself grace, life will remind you that, hey, you need to go ahead and give yourself some grace, brother.
Hella will.
For sure.
Universe is the winner at lessons.
Yep. Yep. For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, man. So all right. So as we close out, give me your closing remarks, young blood.
Yeah, man. So we obviously today's topic was about success, and something that I had to write down a couple years ago was write out. I wrote out the word success, and alongside of it, I had to spell some things out, right, to give
Mm-hmm.
myself clarity. Because as you mentioned, or as we constantly talk about, like everyone may have their different meaning of success and what it means to them, but
Yeah.
to keep my eyes on target, the essence success was seeing your goal,
Yeah.
right? You had mentioned about sometimes you need to just kind of you may only be built for those short term wins.
Yeah.
I think that whether you're built for the short or long term wins, you still have to see your goals, and you
Mm-hmm.
also have to reward yourself for those little wins,
Yeah.
right? The U is understand the obstacles in life.
Mm-hmm.
Period. There's just going to be obstacles,
Yeah.
right? And C was create a positive mental picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and give myself grace, right? Because I had to take that knee and go back to that mental picture
Yeah.
and make sure that I'm keeping myself optimistic on the lens.
Mm-hmm.
The other C was clear your mind of self doubt. Like a lot of people don't realize how powerful the mind is, right? And if you may be the most optimistic, positive person, but because you're human, sometimes that self doubt may creep up. But you gotta
Yeah.
know yourself enough, like you had mentioned. You got to know yourself enough to kind of stop that and block that barrier so that you can keep moving towards your level of success.
Yeah.
The E was embrace the challenge, right? Sometimes you got to suck it up and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of the day, winners are going to win. Period. And the first S was stay on track, right? And I think with that, for me, in order for me to stay on track, I gotta tap into the people that's in my circle,
Yeah.
right? I'm self motivated, but I think again, being a human, I fall off the track and get on the gravel sometimes.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so, and then the last one, man, was show the world you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the show your world you can do it is more show you that you can do it.
Yeah.
So that was success. And then at the close it all in, success to me, man, is a peace of mind of knowing that you did your best.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are my closing remarks, man. Always appreciate the conversation with you, brother.
Yeah. How do you follow that?
You just say, hey, subscribe, like, love.
Hey, hey guys, so subscribe, like, love. Uh, G,
My guy.
G is the king of acronyms.
Hey, shout out to the military.
Boop, boop, boom. No, I agree with everything you said, man, and I think it's just very important for people to understand and be honest with themselves on what their level of success looks like, what the level of effort you can give to certain successes in the moment and or future,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the people you care about most, because those are the ones where you can put yourself in a situation, because you want to make them happy and you want to please them, but sometimes you just have to be like, that is not going to happen today, or
Mhm.
that's not going to happen this week, or
For sure.
that's about to get tabled for the next however long, because as much as I love you, that's not a priority that is a main focus right now. Um, and I think even being able to do that is something. I mean, we've talked about that. I've been like, yo, G, you want to hop on this? And you're like, I love you, but
Yeah.
I don't want to commit to that because
Yeah.
because I can't. And I'm like,
Right.
cool, totally
Bec-
understand.
and because you're someone that I got a lot of love for, I gotta be able to not just be honest with you, but when I'm collaborating with you, I want to be able to give you all of me,
Yeah,
right?
for
Um,
sure.
And same thing. I know you feel the same on this, and I think that again, that's why we rock together. That's why we
Yeah.
vibe, and that's why I'm grateful for the friendship that we have, the partnerships that we have, the business relationship, and the laundry list of everything else that comes along with with our
The
titles.
barbecue partners. No, you're right, and that's exactly it's the same thing, and so that's kind of my 2 cents for the end, but like G said, hey, you guys, we appreciate you listening in, supporting us. We love doing this for you guys. It honestly is something that we look forward to every week, and I know you guys are starting to see more and more of us, and that's just because we want to talk more and more to you guys. Okay. And, there's things on our mind. We got going on. We have guests coming, some great guests, but we thought it was important for us to just kind of to be with you, our listeners, for a couple weeks. And so that being said, please let us know what you think of the episode. Share it, like it, love it, give us critiques on it. People hit me up, and I know people hit G up all the time saying, "Hey, I love this," or "Y'all should think about that." And we are totally open to feedback because feedback helps you get better. Doesn't mean we're gonna take it, but we do
Yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
that's part of the evolution of success.
Correct. So, hey, we'll see you guys next week. You have a good rest of your week, and that's another one for you. Peace.
with life. It's so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, you don't have either of the other two.
Leadership, they flow out you.